Hi folks, welcome to Set Apart Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you for joining. I'm thinking of titling this video something like Apathy, Character, and a Flex Seal review or something like that. You're probably thinking, what in the world does all that have to do? Anyways, I do want to talk just for a quick moment about that Flex Seal. You know that stuff that they have on TV, they show where they cut a boat in half and they use it to bring it back together and glue it and it seals anything. I'm going to tell you my experience with it, and I'm not telling you to buy it or not to buy it. It's just my experience. So our house, when we bought it, the people that built the house, it's not an earth berm or anything, but one corner of the house kind of does go up into a hill a little bit. And so they built like a storm shelter, pretty nice one, into that hill, that mound. It's all, you can get to it from the house and everything. And of course, we use that for food storage and other things like that. Anyways, so the top of it, like the roof, it's concrete, and part of the sides, down a little ways from the roof is exposed. It's not covered in dirt. The rest of it is. So that top part, they use that Flex Seal. You can buy it in like a gallon can, that rubberized stuff, and they coated it with that. And I thought, when we moved here and looked at it, I thought, well, that's kind of cool. It looks almost like they poured wax over it. It has this rubberized, hard look to it. It looks pretty good. And I thought, well, that should be good for that. Well, what has happened, and that was done 3.5, 4 years ago. So that stuff has gotten really hard and brittle, and it's peeling off in big flakes. I noticed it a while back. But because of all the rain and the snow and ice, not really a lot of snow, but we have had quite a bit of ice. Nothing big, but just, several small amounts of ice. That stuff is flaking off in large chunks. And the last good rain that we had, there was almost a 1/2 inch of water inside of our, we call it the bunker. So that stuff, it may work for you, depend on your application. It may be great stuff. I've never used it before, so this is my only experience with it. But it's not working for that purpose, for what I just explained to you. So I've been out today scraping that stuff off, peeling it off, and then coating it, the exposed part, with something different that will hopefully last a lot longer and seal it up a little bit better. So there you have it. There's my experience with that Flex Seal stuff. Like I said, I'm not telling you to not buy it or to buy it. It's just, what's happened to me. Anyways, so this may be it will be just a rant. And I don't know exactly where this is going to go. Just some things that been on my mind, stuff that's been in the news, and just our world, our society, our culture, whatever you want to call it. And it's, apathy and character. Indifference, apathy, same thing. We live in a really messed up world, especially our country. I'm not naive to think that this country has always, or in the past was this, perfect nation. We've always had our faults. I don't know that, at least not for everyone, have we been a completely free nation. And we've had, certain aspects of welfare for a long time now. So, I'm not thinking that, well, if we just went back to the way it was 30, 40 years ago, we'd have a perfect nation. No, I get it. I know that we've never been perfect, but I do believe that the United States in the past was the best example of what people can do to form a government. So, yes, I am very patriotic, but we've really fallen from that. I mean, we have fallen off the tree and hit every branch on the way down. And while I guess you could make the argument, yeah, but we're still the best there is on the planet, probably. It's like we've got it in, turbo drive to try to change that even. So, it wasn't that long ago in this country and around the world, even in many other countries, that your moral character meant a lot. Um, you know, what you stood for, and that you stood for something good, and you didn't waver on that. That actually meant a lot. That you weren't confused with what you are. You weren't confused with how you were born. You weren't confused with what right and wrong meant. And you took a stand for that. That's something that, of all the good things that we could look back on our nation, I think that's one of the things that we could really be proud of. That in the past, people, they had a pretty good character. Doesn't mean that everyone was good. There were bad people. There always have been and there always will be. But we stood for things that were right. As individuals, as communities, and as a whole, as a nation. We stood up for right, and we put down wrong. And we made it very clear what right and wrong were. And in such a short amount of time, we've walked away from that. We have really shamed ourselves. I'm really trying to figure out the right words to choose, so bear with me, please. I'm just trying to, it's right here, ready to pour out. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to get it to come out. We've become very indifferent. Those of us that still believe those things, that still believe in morals and in good character, we are becoming indifferent. And that's the danger that we face. That's the danger that we face of living in this society, of being part of it, which whether you are a person of the book or not, or maybe you just don't believe how I believe, when I talk about being set apart, it's not just something that is commanded to me in the Bible. It's something that we just should do because it's the right thing to do, because look around us, the world that we live in. We really shouldn't be part of that. If you're one of those people that has, that understands what morals are, that understands what right and wrong is, that understands what having a good character is, of raising your children that way and living a life that way, then I'm sorry, you are not aligned with the rest of this country on a whole, or at least the popular part of this country. Pop culture, I guess, is the term. So, I think we should be set apart. We should show that we are different. I mean, they already know that we are anyways, so might as well, follow through with that and be set apart in every way in our lives. We have to be careful because the wickedness, and I'm going to try not to go off into preaching mode, because I know that some of you aren't, religious, and some of you don't believe like I do, and that's your own business. I don't think any less of you at all. I respect you greatly. You're on here. You respect me. I respect you. So I'm going to try not to go into that direction. But this world, the corruption, it's just disgusting. I mean, just in the last week, flipping through, I have an app on my phone. It's Drudge Report, and that's where I get most of my news. I look a few other places, but that's where I get the big bulk of it. And, we've got guys showing up at the Oscars, which I don't think I've ever watched the Oscars. I couldn't care less about it. But showing up in women's dresses, women's clothing. And when I saw that, I didn't even read the whole article, just read a little bit. I guess the guy was supposedly doing it in support of feminism. But I thought, could you imagine John Wayne, going to the Oscars? Like that? Absolutely not. Or, trying to think of some of the, other actors that back in the day when, the golden era of Hollywood, and at least when, and I'm not saying that Hollywood was without corruption back then, because they always have been, but at least they knew what men were and what women were. You've got a guy that's, created this story of being attacked and assaulted for, racial issues, and come to find out it's all fake and a lie. You've got people that they don't know which bathroom to use. Uh, there are, and I could be wrong on this, so if I'm wrong, correct me, but I seem to remember reading something recently that there's now somewhere in the neighborhood of like 70 to 75 recognized genders. I consider myself a pretty smart guy, and my mind can't even understand what that means. That there's 70 some genders. What does that mean? It's pretty obvious. Well, this person's a male because of this, and this person's a female because of this. I mean, how confusing is that? Got corruption all in our governments, from the local level all the way up to, the federal government. People are hell-bent on not just, bringing us to our knees as a socialist nation, but bringing us to, communism. Look at some of these new, young, recently elected people into Congress, what they're talking about. They're very open about it. They're extremely open about that they, fully support communism. Not just socialism, light socialism or something like that, that many, Democrats and the left have supported for many years. It's, and many of them have been open about that. But we're talking like hardcore communism. There's no respect anymore for anyone. We toss away our elderly like they're nothing. We look at people that served their nation and gave all, and we toss them away because they're nothing to us anymore. We're supposed to be tolerant of everything and everybody, except for understanding what right and wrong really are. That's not tolerant. I'm an intolerant person because I know in my heart what is right and wrong. And it's not my version of right and wrong. It's what, our civilization for eons has said what's right and wrong, and what most importantly is said in this holy book that I read. Probably should read it a lot more, but it also tells what's right and wrong in that book. But yet in our society, well, it's all relative. So anyways, the video today, I don't really know what to say of this. How does this pertain to, being prepared or living out like this? I don't know. But we have to be careful because it's so easy, I think, anymore to just accept this immorality, accept the wickedness, accept the lack of real character as being the norm. There are things that even so-called, or I guess I shouldn't use that term, that sounded really judgmental, I apologize. Even Christians, churches, people that, follow the teachings of, the Father in heaven. Look at the change just in the last 20, 30 years. I can remember as a young person, a child and a teenager growing up in church, what was taught then that was right and wrong, and how they looked at things in the world that, oh, that is sin. And now it's accepted as, well, it may or may not be, it's okay. I guess, and I haven't heard if there's been an outcome yet, but I guess the Methodist Church is now openly accepting gays, lesbians, whatever, that's okay, I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about it. I've never been Methodist, so I don't know the details on that. The Catholic Church, look at the things that they have accepted, and even other churches. I have family that go to a church in a large city a couple hours away from me. And they invited me once. I think I talked about it on this channel once before. And I'm telling you, going to that church was like going to a nightclub. I was trying to figure out what people were there for. Why not just go to a nightclub? how we raise our children so differently nowadays because, well, that's what society says is okay now. The things that we fill our minds and our interest with. Don't become apathetic. Don't become indifferent to what real morals and real character. Instill in your children. Teach them what character is, how to build a good moral character, so that they are known for that. And realize that this world that we live in, and especially our nation, I believed at one time, that we were kind of a light shining on a hilltop that stood for good and justice, and and had, as a nation, we had a pretty good, well-known character. We were looked upon. We were feared by our enemies, and we were looked upon by those that wanted to be like us. And nowadays, why would anyone want to be like us? We have turned our back on good. We have turned our back on justice. We've turned our back on God. And you and I, that I think still believe in those things, we have to be on guard because, that indifference kind of settles in to where we just, well, I guess it's okay to watch that on TV. 10 years ago, I would have put my foot down and said, we're not having that trash in this house. But, everybody else is doing it, and, they're going to learn about it anyway, so I guess it's okay. That type of stuff. We still need to take a stand for these good things, these things that there is still goodness out there, and we need to take a stand for it. And I think that if we do, I think it's a good thing that just it reflects upon us as good people. And yeah, we will be looked down upon by the other side, by the tolerant radicals. But does that really matter? We'll be called some archaic traditionalist, whatever term that they would use to refer to us nowadays, I guess. But does it really matter? Because good, right and wrong is just right and wrong. It always has been. And now we're raising our children to, gender neutral, and allowing our boys to dress like a girl, and, all kinds of stuff. It's really despicable. And probably a video I'm going to do here in the next couple of days is, the downfall of our civilization, and how the corruption and the weakness and the immorality is just tearing us apart. So, when you're preparing your home for, trying to bring this back to preparedness here, see if I can do it. When you're preparing your home, your family, for, emergencies that may happen, prepare your heart and your soul and your mind also. And your families, because as much as an earthquake and a hurricane or an EMP can be an catastrophic disaster, so can this wicked immorality that is just permeated our culture. That is a disaster too. That is is the apocalypse on a mental and spiritual level. So prepare in all ways, not just physical preparedness. And remember that it's still okay to take a stand. It's still okay to know what is right and to know what is wrong, and to speak upon those things, and to not, to be unwavered. So, all right. I don't know. Just some thoughts in my head, and things I wanted to get off my chest. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.